Has the Nobel Prize lost its meaning and doesn't need to be decolonized? A radical Israeli settler, Daniella Weiss, has been nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize.
I am more satisfied that my philosophy has had the upper hand and that indeed it blocked the option of a two-state solution.
Weiss is a key advocate for Israel's annexation and illegal settlements in the occupied Palestinian territories.
They will move. They will move. The Arabs will move.
Why do you say that?
If you don't get them, if we don't give, we want to have our hostages then, right? So we don't give them food, we don't give the Arabs anything. They will have to leave. The world will accept them.
She was the first elected mayor of Kedumim in 1969, an Israeli settlement located in the West Bank, and the founder and director of Nachala Movement, a radical Israeli settler group that supports young settlers and violently establishes illegal settlements in the occupied West Bank. Weiss also visited Gaza to scout settlement locations.
In Gaza, by no means. Just as people from Afghanistan moved in the time of war, just as refugees from Syria moved, Ukraine, the same thing will be here. How do we intend to proceed with settling Gaza? We have political support, we have public support, and we have the experience that we have accumulated in 55 years of settling Judea, Samaria, the Golan Heights. We settled all these areas, more than 330 settlements.
And hopes to extend Israeli settlements to Lebanon. Last year, Canada imposed sanctions on extremist settlers attacking Palestinians in the occupied West Bank, including Daniella Weiss.
The truth of the matter is that I'm not thinking about the Arabs. I'm thinking about the future of the Jewish nation, the future of the state of Israel.
While nominations of the Nobel Prize stay confidential for 50 years and can't be confirmed, multiple news outlets reported that Professor Shalom Sadiq of Ben Gurion University nominated Daniella Weiss together with Professor Amos Azaria at Ariel University. He is also the founder of Ori Zafon, also known as the Movement for Settlement in South Lebanon, a group that has promoted new properties for sale in southern Lebanon during Israel's assault on the country. Weiss' rhetoric has fueled violent settler attacks in occupied Palestine, while her nominators claim her work in the West Bank helped, quote, reduce violence.
People say to me, why don't you explain to the Jews in the United States what is exactly behind your thinking? I explain. But I'm laughing because the right word for it, you have to brainwash all the time. You have to say, to explain it, to live it, to cope with it. My husband says to me, why do you speak to your children all the time about Zionism, pioneers in Judea and Samaria, settling, and all my family are settlers here? Because this is the only way to continue Zionism.
So make it make sense. Daniella Weiss is nominated for breaking international law, even though the Nobel Peace Prize honors those who promote peace, conflict resolution, or humanitarian work in general. The Nobel Prize highlights excellence in science, literature, economics, and peace promotion, and continues to be dominated by Western laureates, raising questions about its claimed global nature and alignment with Alfred Nobel's original vision. More than 94% of laureates are male, and 81% of all Nobel Prizes have been awarded to people from Western countries, which could allude to the idea of historian Odd Arne Wested, who was appointed director of research at the Norwegian Nobel Institute, helped select the Nobel Peace Prize recipient and organize the award event in Oslo. He argues that both capitalist and communist modernities arising from European colonial expansion were imposed on non-Western societies, marginalizing local knowledge and reinforcing Western-centric ideas of progress and developments. Controversial nominations and wins. In 1939, Adolf Hitler was nominated for a Nobel Peace Prize, which was meant as, quote, irony. Henry Kissinger's win in 1973 is often viewed as politically driven rather than reflecting genuine peace-building values. Former US Secretary of State Henry Kissinger was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize alongside North Vietnamese diplomat Le Duc Tho in 1973 for negotiating a ceasefire in the Vietnam War. However, critics said that Kissinger's actions contradicted the very principles of peace as the war continued. The New York Times referred to it as the, quote, Nobel War Prize.
Even more surprised than I was at the time that the committee could come to such a bad decision. When I look at it, surprises me even further is that the committee was actually fully aware that the Paris Agreement was unlikely to hold in South Vietnam. War was still going on, and they wrote in the reports and in the nomination letter that it was not sure at all that this would bring peace.
In 2008, Harold Zurhausen won the Nobel Prize in Medicine for linking HPV to cervical cancer. AstraZeneca, with stakes in HPV vaccines, sponsored the Nobel website, and two panel members had ties to the company. In 2012, the European Union won the Nobel Peace Prize for, quote, over 6 decades contributed to the advancement of peace and reconciliation, democracy, and human rights in Europe. Critics pointed out issues with EU's refugee and migrant policies, some including South African bishop, theologian, and Nobel Prize laureate Archbishop Desmond Tutu, who argued that EU was based on, quote, military power. Ironically, the Nobel Prize is named after Alfred Nobel, who was primarily known for inventing dynamite and other explosives. He reportedly wanted to rebrand his legacy. This is what Albert Einstein, a laureate of the Nobel Prize in Physics, had to say, quote, Alfred Nobel invented an explosive more powerful than any then known, an exceedingly effective means of destruction. To atone for this accomplishment and to relieve his conscience, he instituted his award for promotion of peace. The Nobel Prize claims to honor peace, yet its history is full of contradictions. So has Alfred Nobel succeeded in clearing his name and legacy, or did he create a pathway for others like himself to attempt the same?